God has a plan, and you are in it. Dear friend and child of God, here the scripture confirms the plan of God for every living being. Let's explore these verses that draws the perfect God's plan for you. Firstly, Isaiah 14, verse 24, NIV Bible, the Lord Almighty has sworn, surely, as I have planned, so it will be, and as I have purposed, so it will happen. This verse emphasizes the certainty of God's plans and purposes. Whatever God has planned and purposed will surely come to pass, demonstrating His sovereignty and control over all things. Secondly, Isaiah 14, verses 26 to 27, NIV Bible, this is the plan determined for the whole world, this is the hand stretched out over all nations. For the Lord Almighty has purposed, and who can thwart Him? His hand is stretched out, and who can turn it back? These verses reiterate the idea that God's plan extends to the entire world and all nations. His purposes will stand, and no one can thwart or turn back His hand. It highlights the absolute authority and power of God over all of creation. Thirdly, Psalm 33, verses 10 to 11, NIV Bible, the Lord foils the plans of the nations, He thwarts the purposes of the peoples. But the plans of the Lord stand firm forever, the purposes of His heart through all generations. These verses emphasize the contrast between the plans of humans and the plans of God. While the plans of nations and peoples may be thwarted, God's plans stand firm forever. His purposes endure through all generations, showcasing His unwavering faithfulness and sovereignty. Together, these verses affirm the biblical teaching that God has a sovereign plan and purpose for all of creation. His plans are certain, unchangeable, and ultimately prevail over all human and earthly endeavors. As believers, we find assurance and trust in God's perfect plan, knowing that He works all things according to His will for the good of those who love Him, Romans 8, verse 28. But you have no option unless obey and get your rewards that the Creator have promised. Let me show you few more authentic scriptures. These verses of wisest scholar, in this world who explored life from every point of view and made sure that God has a grand plan for everyone of every age and generations after generations, Prophets 2 supports this doctrine. Get the plan for your life from the Bible, touching upon themes related to guidance, planning, and the sovereignty of God. Certainly there is a plan of God. Carefully listen now. Verses we've referenced emphasize the sovereignty of God and His overarching plan for all of creation, including human life. Here's a brief exploration of each verse to evidence God's plan for all. Proverbs 16, verse 1, to humans belong the plans of the heart, but from the Lord comes the proper answer of the tongue. This verse highlights the idea that while humans may make plans, it is ultimately God who determines the outcome. Proverbs 16 verse 9, NIV Bible, in their hearts humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps. Similar to the previous verse, this one emphasizes that even though humans make plans, God ultimately directs and guides their paths. Proverbs 19, verse 21, NIV Bible, many are the plans in a person's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails. This verse reinforces the idea that God's purpose ultimately prevails over human plans. Proverbs 20 verse 24, NIV Bible, a person's steps are directed by the Lord. How then can anyone understand their own way? Here, the verse emphasizes the idea that God is ultimately in control of human actions and direction. Proverbs 21 verse 30, NIV Bible, there is no wisdom, no insight, no plan that can succeed against the Lord. This verse underscores the supremacy of God's will and the futility of opposing His divine plan. Psalm 37 verse 23, NIV Bible, the Lord makes firm the steps of the one who delights in Him. This verse speaks to the idea that those who trust in God will have their steps ordered and supported by Him. Isaiah 46 verse 10, NIV Bible, I make known the end from the beginning, from ancient times, what is still to come. I say, my purpose will stand, and I will do all that I please. This verse from Isaiah emphasizes God's omniscience and sovereignty over all of time and history. Jeremiah 10 verse 23, NIV, I know, Lord. Stop planning anymore, and start following His plans from today onwards. Why do you want to risk your life unnecessarily? When this short lesson has endorsed that you can't do anything apart from God's design for you. It reflects humility before God, recognizing His authority over human lives and paths. Are you the one looking for guidance and direction? We are here to help you, dear child of God.